So I've been thinking about going back to school, and I have no idea what I would major in, to be honest. I mean, if I'm being truthful with you guys, I always saw myself being a history teacher. I think I'd be a really, really good history teacher. I always enjoyed history, World War II specifically. The only problem I have with being a teacher is that being in that profession in America in 2018 absolutely sucks. It's literally a labor of love. To be honest with you guys, that's really what it comes down to. It's basically just saying I am a teacher because I love being a teacher, not because it's, because of the paycheck. That's certainly not the reason why. I think loving being a teacher is the only reason you could really be a teacher in 2018. Just because there's so many shackles and so much politics and all that kind of crap. Maybe being a YouTuber's kind of spoiled me in the sense that there's no politics here. Because, when you work for me, you leave your problems at the door. Otherwise, I'll tell you to go to the door. So, it's maybe that spoiled me a little bit, but in reality, I kind of look at where I am at the moment. Look at where I am, what I've achieved, what I've managed to pull off. And in truth, I just sort of feel like I've gone as far as I can go at this particular place in time. And that doesn't mean I'm going to stop making videos. Not at all. I'm going to make videos forever. But it's one of these things where it's like, what's the next step for Rob? What's the next step on Rob's journey of life? And I was sitting here thinking about college, and I was like, why not? Can't hurt. I was thinking about that. I was like, get a degree in something. Because here's one of the important things to bear in mind, guys. YouTube will never last forever, and there's steps that you can take to try to make sure that your YouTube empire lasts as long as it possibly can, but it won't last forever. Nothing ever does. And so when the time comes when your YouTube channel begins to show a decline, or when the time comes, even when your YouTube channel is steady like mine is, and you want to make sure that when the point comes where it drops off, that you want to have a safeguard, then there's any number of things you can do. I mean, at the moment right now, like I own a house, I own a car. I've done a couple different things in order to make sure that my fortress of solitude, as John Goodman told Mark Wahlberg, that my fortress of solitude is totally solid, that it's taken care of. And so at this point, it's just a matter of what do I want to do next? And that's kind of the nature of life, right? It's the journey of life, going on these paths and trying to figure out what it is we want to do next and what we want for ourselves, what we're looking to achieve and all these different things. And so I don't know. I mean, I will say I did take a couple of college classes, or a few college classes when I was younger. I took a couple of public speaking classes. Man, there was this one girl. Okay, I should tell you guys this story. So back when I was taking classes, I took 2 public speaking courses. The first one was Com 111, and the second one was Com 12. We actually had a course called Com 101. Oh, dude. Okay, University of Kentucky. So Com 101 was taught by a guy named DeSantis. I can't remember his first name, but he was the coolest professor ever. His class sucked. Dude, we we were so pissed. A buddy of mine, Chris, and I, we took the class, but at 2 different periods during the day. But we were told, hey, look, you need an elective, you need a communications elective or some kind of an elective. So we chose Com 101. We're like, it's Com 101. How hard can it possibly be? We're going to learn the basics of talking. Like, this is a phone and this is how you use it. Like that's what what we thought we were going to learn. And so we get in there, this great big huge lecture hall in the White Hall classroom building. We get in there, that room is probably filled with 150 kids. He walks in, he tells us all right, everybody, welcome to Com 101. This is a 100% memorization course. Somebody in the back of the class is like, man. And he's like, you guys are going to have 2 tests this semester, one over 75 pages of notes and the other one over another 75 pages of notes. And so that's what it was. Midterms, we had to memorize 75 pages of stuff. Final exams, 75 pages of stuff. We had to read, remember, and regurgitate, the 3 R's of school, and we had to spit it out. And it was rough. Like, man, we hated that so much. There was one guy who actually got caught cheating, believe it or not. He was in the front row of all places. Here was the thing. So when DeSantis gave us the midterms and the finals, this guy watched like a hawk. I mean, he had like all the TAs, like basically all the TAs walking up and down the aisles, making sure no one cheated. Because I mean, we were sitting like we were kind of crammed in, and it's a lecture hall, so you got people sitting right next to you. And he's like, if I see your eyes wander, I'll take your test away. Like he was super strict about that, which I think is a good thing. But this one guy sitting in the front row, and I wasn't hardly paying any attention. I just saw DeSantis walk over to him, and he's like, what do you have in your lap? And I was like, oh my god. As soon as he said that, I was like, oh my god, dude, this dumbass is cheating. And like he pulls this piece of paper out of his lap, and DeSantis is like, give it to me. He's like, get out of here, you just failed. Like just failed. Got a 50% in the class, just like that. 50%, assuming that he even got 100% on the first test. And it's like, damn, like this is crazy to me why someone would cheat on a test. I mean, look, if you don't have enough time to study for the test and you didn't have enough time to take the class in the first place, like, you know, you knew going into, you got the syllabus at the beginning of the year, you knew what you were getting into, or the beginning of the semester rather, you knew what you were getting into. You could have changed. You could have switched classes. Instead, the guy had to be an idiot and just cheat. But anyway, so Com 111 was more the academic side of public speaking. And oh my God, it was taught by a woman named Holly. And I cannot remember her last name for the life of me, but Jesus, dude, she was stunningly beautiful. I mean, she was, but here's the thing. Like to me, she was exceedingly attractive for a couple different reasons. One, because of course she was gorgeous. Two, because she put off this kind of air about her of like, I'm not putting up with your shit and I will fail you. She had this really like confident, strong bravado about her, which to me is very, very attractive. And then she was from like Oklahoma or someplace, you know, she was from the white folks part of the South. So she was from like Texas, Oklahoma, something like that. And had this, oh my God, had this country accent and Jesus. But I will say this, man, Lord have mercy, girl could not shut up about Disney World. Jesus, dude, this girl would go, oh, I love Disney World. It's the most magical place ever. I would live there forever and all that, and just going on and on and on. Now, this was before I went to Disney World. Man, let me tell you something. Dude, I went to Disney World. I was like, man, this girl was right. Because I was thinking about that when I was going through. As soon as I walked through there, I was like, man, I imagine Holly would freak out. She'd be like, yay, I'm back in Disney World again. I mean, I never knew her outside of the classroom, although I kind of wish I had. But like being there in Disney World, man, ain't nothing like Disney World. Dude, there's no place like Disney World. Dude, it's amazing. Dude, I went to Magic Kingdom. I lost my shit. Ask Comic Storian and his wife Natalie. It was Benny, Natalie, myself, and then we went down there and met a couple of our friends, Danielle and Sean. And dude, it was amazing because like we were all hanging out. Dude, we went to Epcot Center. We got drunk as hell. Dude, we had an amazing week. And I was like, man, dude, Disney World, man, dude, this place is the tits. Dude, I absolutely loved it. But no, dude, if I ran into Holly right now, I'd be like, hey, can I buy you dinner? Like anywhere, don't really care, just let me buy you dinner somewhere. But anyway, so Com 112 was about the actual, I feel like making this video, you guys are just kind of like, dude, this guy's never taken a public speaking course in his whole life. This dude's everywhere, and it's 100% true, I am everywhere. But Com 112 was more of the hands-on approach to public speaking, which is to say, getting good at the actual act of speaking publicly. Now, this was taught by a guy named Nick. He was a pretty cool guy, whatever. Anyway, it was a guy named Nick. And again, you know, we were practicing these different skills and so on and so forth. The final exam comes along at the end of the year. And during the final exam, we had to draw a random topic out of a hat, literally out of the hat that Nick wore. We had to draw a random topic out of a hat, and we had to go into the hallway, practice for like 30 seconds or a minute or something like that, and then come back in and actually make our speech, which was about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. So my speech was, well, I'm not going to tell you guys what the topic of my speech was. You guys don't want to hear that. It was funny though. Like it was hilarious. But in any event, this little black girl had to be fresh out of high school. And when I say fresh out of high school, I mean like senior year, like summer break, college, like fresh out of high school. And so this little black girl goes out there and practices, comes back in. My topic was, if I could live in any era, what era would I live in? Now, the whole time that you know, when she says that, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, that's actually kind of a cool topic. And I'm sitting here thinking, like the whole time as she's giving us a spiel on what her topic was, I was like, man, I wonder what era I would live in. And I'm sitting here thinking like the era of dinosaurs or something like that. And then like I started paying attention to this girl as she speaks. She pipes up, if I could live in any era, I'd live in the 1950s down south in Montgomery, Alabama. And as soon as she says it, I'm just like, Now, here's the thing. In this class, there's an older black gentleman in his 40s. There's myself and there's our professor. Nick wasn't a white guy, but, you know, I mean, he wasn't a black guy, but he'd been around the block a few times. He was certainly on the same level as myself and this older gentleman. So I'm sitting here listening to this girl talk about how she would willingly go to Montgomery, Alabama in the 1950s. And I look over at this older gentleman and I'm just kind of like, and he looks over at me. And we look at the professor, and the professor's like, and she's just going on and on. Men knew how to treat women, and people were classy, and they treated folks with respect. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what did you learn in history class? What school did you go to? Were they sweeping like everything before the 1970s under the rug? Was it just like, oh my God, yeah, Montgomery, Alabama, it was a happy place. You guys ever saw Mad Men? Well, imagine that in the 50s in Montgomery, Alabama, and that's what it was like for everyone. Like I'm imagining that's basically what they were teaching this girl. Either that or she's someone who was just taking naps the whole time when she was in history class, which is the most likely case. But this cracked me up because the whole time she's doing this, it's going through my head, right? Like I'm imagining this situation, this scenario playing out in my head, and I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so at the time I was really really big into Harry Potter, so I'm imagining like Hermione Granger showing up. You know, it's like, oh hey girl, oh my God, Hermione Granger, I'm such a huge fan. Oh yeah, thank you girl. Check this out. I got this thing called a time turner, and when you spin it, it takes you back through time. And this little girl will be like, oh, well, what do you do with it? It's like, well, you know, Hermione's like, well, you don't do anything good with it, like go back in time and like stop Harry Potter's parents from dying, or stop Voldemort from rising to power, or steer him away from ever becoming like from Tom Riddle ever becoming Voldemort, or like stop Tom Riddle Sr. from banging that really ugly chick, whatever her name was, or like save Dumbledore and like push Snape out of the way. You don't do like any of that stuff. Well, technically that hadn't happened at the time, so that doesn't really count. But like you don't do anything that would be like reasonable and would like basically save the whole Harry Potter universe in one fell swoop. You don't do any of that stuff. Instead, you just go back to the past and then ask if that's really what your hair looks like from the back. So so Hermione would be like, okay girl, so take this thing and spin it and then you'll travel back in time. And so this girl's like, oh my God, I'm gonna go back to the 1950s just like I always wanted to do. And I'm gonna go down to Montgomery, Alabama, just like I always wanted to do. And I'm so excited to live that life, and I'm gonna live there forever. Girl's gonna spin that little time turner. She's gonna be gone for 10 minutes and come right back. And Hermione's gonna be like, so how did it go? Oh, girl, it was terrible. They was beating the shit out of black folks. It was like, what did you think was gonna happen? I mean, it's a great thing she was raised in an age where racism is not as prevalent as it was back then, but like life was shitty back then if you were a black person, for the most part anywhere in the United States, but especially down in Montgomery, Alabama. And so it's like, man, like what? Here's my question. What are they teaching you guys about history? That's what I want to know. What are they teaching you guys about history? I mean, granted, there's a lot more that happened in the United States besides the fact that black folks were slaves. There's a lot more that happened in American history than that. But what are they teaching you guys? And are they cramming the full totality of American history into like one semester? Because if they are, that ain't enough. That's pitiful. That's not nearly long enough to be able to learn about the entirety of American history. 200 years of history, let alone European history, the history of France or England or like the Roman Empire or anything like that. I mean, there's a lot of things to learn there. It's Roman Empire spanned like 800 years. There's a lot of things going on there, you know, that take a lot of time to explain. I think it was 800 years. I don't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, yeah. So, post comments down below. Let me know, what the hell are they teaching you guys in U.S. history? Because I'm kind of curious. Are they giving you guys like this full thing, or are they just kind of like skimming and hitting the finer points? That's kind of what I want to know. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about the idea of college. Give me some ideas for stuff to major in. I need to do some research and do some poking around. I don't want to be like a lot of the people my age who were in college when they were in their early 20s and were like, you know what, I'm going to be a gym teacher, and they ended up just being broke, you know, or something like that. Like they can't find a job anywhere, or they're like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to major in communications. I'm going to major in the ability to talk, and hopefully it'll work. You know, I'm not going to I'm not going to do that. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section, and I will catch you all later. Peace.